Right then, good afternoon. I'm joined here by Ben Wood from Form in Manchester City Centre. How you doing, Ben? You okay?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Good stuff. So, Ben, as we like to start on the VT series, we always ask them about the background and how they got into the industry. So, can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got into personal training?
Yeah. So I've been a personal trainer for about 13 years now. I've always played sports all my life, which I think the majority of personal trainers sort of get in that way. Yeah, and I've always enjoyed going to the gym, obviously playing sports and stuff like that. And I think when I was growing up, sports was a big, sports in the gym especially were a big thing for me, improving, sort of a big topic at the moment, improving my confidence, I was going to say mental health, but improving confidence and stuff like that to do with sports. And when I was younger, I was actually quite a small, short person, which is quite interesting because I'm not now. Yeah, and I always went to the gym for that reason, and then used it to improve my sports performance and stuff like that. Yeah, and I got to an age where went to sixth form, didn't have a clue what I was going to do at all, but I've always been really passionate about helping people. I thought I was going to be a doctor or a vet or something like that. That was always in my nature to sort of try and help people. And yeah, I was working at a job, really weird actually. I was working for Formula One catering, a really odd year, and so we were going abroad and working with the teams and stuff. And there was a girl that worked with me that had a knee injury, and she'd never been to the gym at all. So I was like, right, we'll come and train together. She wanted to do some rehabby stuff. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I went to the gym, so I showed her some stuff, and she was like, "Oh, you're really good at this. You're actually really passionate about it. Have you ever thought about doing it?" And I was like, "No." But then that sort of obviously sparked that thought, and then I pretty much, after that season of Formula One, I then booked my course and did it, and obviously had a massive passion for it. Then from there, I went into a David Lloyd. So I went to a few different interviews. Had a really interesting interview actually with a guy, which is a bit of an off-going story, but he told me that I'd never make it as a PT, which was really interesting in an interview. It's quite brutal. I would love to see him now. I probably wouldn't be very nice to him, to be fair, but yeah, and then got a job at David Lloyd, worked there for 3 years, which was really, really good. But like most people, especially at that time, I thought it was the right idea to go and work in a private facility, and then worked in various private facilities, and now own my own gym with my business partner, which has been open for about 3 years. Or sorry, not gym, it's a personal training studio gym, so we don't have a membership as such. Yeah.
Fantastic, nice one. But just to go on back to that, what did he say in that interview? What reason for that?
So this is one of my gripes with personal training. I was massively passionate about helping people, and that's always been my main objective and my main ethos, and actually about really making a change in people's lives. And even back then, when I didn't have a clue 13 years ago, but I went for a job interview at I think it was a JJB at the time, and this guy was an idiot. In terms of he absolutely loved himself. Thought I'm the best PT there is in the Northwest. That was probably what he was telling me, all this sort of stuff. And it was in the middle of the day, and I'd rocked up in relatively smart casual wear, so I wasn't in gym clothes at all. And he was like, "Right, okay, I want to see you. Big thing about personal training is sales. I want to see you now go walking on the gym floor and try and sign someone." And I was looking at him thinking, "What now?" And he's like, "Yeah, go and try and sign someone." I was like, "Right, you want me to go and walk around the gym?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Oh, fucking hell." And I'm quite a nervous person, I do the gym for confidence. So obviously I was like, "Oh, man, I'm in an interview. I'm dead nervous." And there was about 3 people in this huge gym. It was a Thursday about 3 o'clock or something. So I went up to this guy, spoke to him. He was a bit weird, showed him a few exercises. I was like, "I'm not going to sign you up. I don't even know if I want to work here. I'm not into that." Went back to him. I was like, oh, I've spoken to a guy. He's like, right, you need to sign someone up. I was like, oh my God, this is awkward. So I went up to another woman. She was on the treadmill, and I got talking to her, and she had a personal trainer, and she was absolutely lovely. And I basically was far enough away from him that he couldn't hear. And I was like, this is a situation. I actually don't want to sign you up, but I need to kind of pretend to show you some stuff. And she was like, yeah, brilliant, you know. And she played along with it. So then I went back and was like, yeah, you know, I didn't sign him up. And, you know, I said to him, I don't really want to sign someone up because, you know, I've come here for an interview. I don't even know if I want to work here. And he basically had a chat with me saying, you know, the major part of it is confidence and sort of being a salesman, really. And, you know, and he said, if you're not cut out to do that, I don't think personal training is for you. And he didn't want to give me the job. And thank God he didn't give me the job, because...
Got a bit of a technical issue, didn't we? I think we were touching up about the guy who said you were the terrible interview. He sounded like he was inspired by The Office, I think, the original, as a manager. So you got back to him and you said, look, you know, I'm not going to sign up with someone. I don't even know if I want to work here. I'm an interview. Then what happened? What did he kind of go on to then?
Yeah, so he basically, I went back down, sat with him, and he sort of just said, you know, basically, you know, I hadn't signed anyone up, and he wasn't happy with that. And he said, if you're not able to sign anyone up, and you know, a large amount of personal training is being a salesman, you cut out the industry. He sort of said, I'll get back to you and let you know about the job. But basically, I knew that I wasn't getting the job there and then. And to be fair, I didn't want the job. You know, I felt, it was funny. I left that thinking, oh my God, maybe I'm not set out for personal training. Maybe it's a completely different job, you know, than I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely, I hate the dodgy car salesman sort of, you know, side of it that some people think personal training is about. And this guy clearly did. You know, and I would love to go back to him now and sort of say, you know, 13 years on, you know, look at some of the people that I train and what I've done. And, you know, for me, personal training absolutely isn't about that. And if your heart's in it in the right way, you know, if you're there to truly help someone, yeah, okay, there is an element of kind of sales in it, which, you know, obviously there is. You've got to try and sell yourself, you know, only meeting someone for half an hour, but actually at the end of the day, referrals speak for themselves, results speak for themselves. You know, we've just put out a result a few days ago from someone that I've been working with over lockdown, and off the back of that,
yeah, I saw that.
We've had, you know, probably 15 inquiries, a couple of people sign up, and, you know, I don't have to go there and have to sell myself. And yeah, okay, you know, when I originally started, it's a bit different, but it really annoyed me that was his main reason for not wanting me to work there. And, you know, but it is because he would have been getting marked off how many sessions people do. And that was, you know, when I moved on to David Lloyd and worked there, that was probably the reason why I left there. David Lloyd was absolutely brilliant for me. And, you know, obviously I would recommend anyone starting as a personal trainer, that is probably the best way to start, without a doubt. You know, maybe it's not the best way to start going into a private facility unless they're going to nurture you and help you out. But actually working in a club really does help, because you get surrounded by that gym environment all the time. A lot of places like David Lloyd actually offered me like 40 hours a week to start with, and then as you got a client, you dropped it down, and it made the transition a lot easier. But you know, I was going to go to this JJB, pay rent, I would have lost it, you know, thousands of pounds, and he wouldn't have cared less. You know, if you can do, it was like dog eat dog, which is, you know, what personal training shouldn't be about, really, for me.
No, definitely echo that, especially when you talk about the sales aspect. You know, you do have to sell. You have to sell yourself, essentially, don't you? But you know, there's so many people and so many trainers that you will attract people who want to be trained by you.
Yeah.
You won't do you? You know, it just doesn't work like that. It doesn't, you know, sometimes you're not suited for certain clients and they're not suited for you. And did you find that as you kind of matured and you kind of found your position in the market of, you know, feeling more comfortable with the sort of clients that you attract and the sort of clients that you want to work with?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I definitely say now, like, I train a vast variety of people. But yeah, there certainly are. You know, what we do here at Form is we have a team of 6 of us naturally. What works really, really well, which is completely different to David Lloyd, or, you know, when you go in and you kind of jostling, fighting for a client. As soon as a client walks in the door, that if they ask for personal training, your client regardless of their goals. I don't think is the best way to do it. And if you're trying to be in the personal training industry long term, you've got to do what's best for that client. And if you know you're not the best person for them, hand them on to someone else, because the respect and what will come around your way, will benefit you long term. Yeah, what's my niche now? I mean, we don't really train many sports people, although I have a few that I do train, and there's a few that do train here. The gym facility itself isn't necessarily set up for that style as such. If we do have athletes, we train a side of what they need to do, what we're good at. Obviously, all the running and the fitness and the cardiovascular side they'll do that outside if they need to run long distances and stuff. Obviously, we don't actually have handhelds here and things like that. And actually, most of the time they don't need to work. They can't do agility work in our gym and stuff like that, which is obviously massively important. But the majority of the people that we train and that I train are average sort of general pop. We're based in the city centre, so it's a lot of people who are highly stressed. But I think obviously everyone has their individual things that they want to do and their individual goals and lifestyles and stuff like that. But actually, at the end of the day, it all ends up being quite similar. Everyone has stress, whether it's work stress, family stress, different types of, mental, emotional stress, all that sort of stuff. Everyone has things that they want to work on. If you can get the right psychology with that person, it doesn't really matter who you train in a way. I don't go down the specialists of being a rehab or part cardiovascular stuff. I know that side of it, and if someone came in, I'd be happy to train them. There's a guy on our team who's probably the best at cardiovascular fitness work. He absolutely loves that sort of stuff, and so if anyone comes in that has that wants to work on cardiovascular or has really high blood pressure, high resting heart rate, he's the guy that I would say you're perfect for. But a lot of the time it comes down to personality a lot of the time. Whether you click with someone, and we had I'm sure hopefully they won't watch that, don't know if they know I'm talking about them, but we had someone come in a while ago who's now started training, and she would have eaten one of our trainers alive. Just the way he's he's very quiet, he's very, very good, but she's absolutely lovely, but she's like blah, 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 blah. She's just that type of person. I was like, you have to train with this person. And it wasn't because of his skill set, it was because of the personalities. So a lot of the time it is, you're trying to get a large commitment out of someone, and you have to get on with them, really. You have to be a likable person, and kind of the personalities have to match in a way.
And that's obviously something that you've got going really well at Form there, because you've got your own team, and someone comes to the gym, and you can kind of assign them and kind of mould that, can't you, that relationship, and start off on the right foot. When you were starting at David Lloyd, obviously it's a club environment, you go and speak to members, etc. What was the big difference from that than going to as an employee or a self-employed PT at the private facilities that you were at before Form? What were the biggest differences for you?
I think a lot of the biggest difference in terms was a lot of people were coming to you in that private facility. So they'd either looked at your website or looked at the gym's website, and it was a bit different. It's probably easier to train people because a lot of people come in there with the intent. David Lloyd, you get a lot of people who have a trainer just to tell the next door neighbour that they have a trainer, or they're trying to beat their best friend or whatever. So you probably had 50-50. A lot of people were willing to do it, and a lot of people just wanted a personal trainer just to say they had a personal trainer. But all those things are massive experiences that I think people need to go through. Whereas now, and ever since I've left David Lloyd, I've not gone back into a commercial gym since then. So actually, I haven't been in a commercial gym for 10 years. Well, no, one gym did have memberships, but I mean, it was just an independent owned gym, like quite a few of them do. But yeah, a lot of the people now come and see me, and it's actually easier for me to work with them because I've built up a reputation. And, you know, people come and say, right, I'm fully committed now. You know, I do get the odd person that thinks they're committed, but by the time you sort of have a consultation with them, you tell them what you expect and what you want from them and what you're going to provide them with, sometimes they don't sign up, and that's not the end of the world. But that's the biggest difference, without a doubt, is that, you know, a lot of people, but I want to stress that, you know, obviously people watching this are potentially going into personal training.
Yeah.
It's really nice to be in a facility where people come to you a bit more serious and stuff like that. People will think, yeah, I want to be that personal trainer. That's obviously where we want to go eventually. Mm-hmm. You know, if I'd stayed at David Lloyd, I would have been in a different position now. I would have people who want to come to me because I'd built up a reputation. And by the end of the 3 years there, I'd kind of built up that reputation anyway. But I think, you know, the more sessions you can do, the better. You know, yes, you want quality sessions, but kind of the more people you can be surrounded by and training, you understand how different people respond. But also, like you were saying, you understand what your niche is and how you work well and what's good and who you need to work with and what your passion is. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think sort of working at clubs is not a bad thing. You know, but if they don't go into a club, it's, you know, not necessarily.
Yeah. I guess I know we had Dan has some like MMA training, a bit of BJJ, and he also works at a David Lloyd. And he always said that, you know, he doesn't do any of the classes at David Lloyd. He just openly said, it's not my thing, you know, I don't want to do them, etc. But I guess at places like David Lloyd, you can get stuck into loads of things, can't you? I think, you know, I'm guessing there would have been classes that have been, you know, a range of different classes. Were you able to jump on those and instruct, etc., alongside the gym floor stuff?
Yeah, so I did spin classes. I did, you know, I did like a tennis fit class, which actually was really good because I only had 6 to 8 people, and it was, you know, it's more sports performance, which I loved doing. Yeah, I think it's just take advantage of everything you can, but obviously not selling yourself short at the same time. You know, you want to make sure that, you know, you're sticking to your guns and doing things that you want to do. But yeah, having, you know, it's like Libby, my business partner, we were laughing the other day. She used to do aqua aerobics, and she would never do that now. You know, she'd kill herself. You know, she'd be so distraught if she had to do that. And there's nothing wrong with it. You know, she learned loads from it, and she probably got clients from it. But yeah, I think having that experience, I think, you know, even with like social media now, that wasn't even I don't think Facebook was a thing 13 years ago, was it? I don't know. Or it would only just come out and it's for people at university. Mm-hmm. And I think now, you know, maybe people are looking and being like, oh, well, I follow this elite trainer and they train everyone online. Yeah. You know, that's what I want to do. You don't realise that actually they've grafted and sort of done all this stuff first, and now that's why they are where they're at. Yeah.
100%. You can't be an online trainer if you've never done it on the gym floor first, can you? Because you're ultimately telling them what to do when you've not done it yourself, or you've not actually done the application. So, no, definitely, they've obviously grafted, you know, previously to get into that position. But perfect, Ben. Appreciate that. I just want to touch upon really form now than where you're at the moment, and kind of how that's been going. Obviously, you can't get away from it, the COVID-19, the lockdown. How have you got on as a gym yourself and Libby as the owners and the staff you've got there who obviously work at the facility too? How's that all gone during this period?
Yeah, so in terms of how we started and everything, I've had a bit of a different journey, I think, to quite a lot of personal trainers. I've been a personal trainer for 13 years and I've worked with Libby for 13 years, weirdly. So we started on day one at Lloyd and there was actually only one job available. But we obviously impressed enough that they wanted both of us. And we split the hours. So we became a team straight away, which I think a lot of people miss from personal training. You know, I think it's a dog eat dog, which is not great. You know, we helped each other out straight away, which was fantastic. It was like, I've got a client, but actually I've got this new client, I can't do the time, and I've recommended them to train with you. And we just bounced off each other, which was really good. Yeah, and then after years and years, we went, really oddly as well, we actually both left on the same day, and that was completely, we didn't know each other. We announced that we were leaving. And we're both leaving, really weird. Anyway, we went separate ways and everything, ended up working at a different gym together. And we've been working there for a while, and then, like most people, we were like, oh, we could set up our own together, which, obviously I do think is the right decision now. But I think a lot of people do think that setting up the gym is the way forward, and you have to have it. It's a different mentality. Setting up a gym is something I've learned and had to adapt to massively. Yeah, and then we were searching for places for a couple of years. No one took us seriously enough. As soon as you say you're in a city centre and you want to open a personal training studio, they're like, nah, not having you. And we were looking at pretty high end places because that's the demographic that we wanted. And we had a business mentor and a business partner who really helped. And then obviously we opened this, and sort of 3 years later we're here. But we had a real plan of what we wanted to do and how we wanted to conduct our business, and I think that has been one of the biggest benefits. Again, I was thinking about things I could say to sort of help new personal trainers before coming on this, but I think that's one of the things you have to learn as a personal trainer is the business side of it. Even from starting off, if you start off from David Lloyd and stuff like that, you might love training, you might love that side of it, but the business side of it and having set goals and what you want to do and what you want to achieve and your ethos and sticking to that would have benefited me massively in the early days. And actually having that written down and knowing where I wanted to strive to. We stick with that now. We have the same ethoses, which has kind of built what we've done. We currently only have 6 trainers, but we're only ever looking to have maybe 8 in this facility unless we grow. But we're super picky with who we have here, because there's a lot of cowboys, but there's a lot of amazing trainers, and we've sort of cherry picked the trainers that we want here. We want them to have the same ethos as us, and everyone that we bring on, we want to be here for a long period of time. We don't, again, quite a few people in the industry chop and change between gyms, and that's not what we want.
Where did you get them from, Ben? Where did you cherry pick them guys from? Did they come to you, or do you think?
One guy, we have had a few people leave, and that's unfortunate. We had to make the decision. I think we've made that decision, and to protect the business, and not in any nasty way. No one's really left in any bad blood. But yeah, we had one guy we used to work with ages ago who was really, really good. He went and worked in Australia after that, and actually his girlfriend was looking to get into personal training and did an internship with Libby. And as soon as she came in, at the day after, she did a whole day with Libby, and she left, and Libby was like, I want her. As soon as he moved to England, I need to have Claudia working here. Just because you can tell straight away the passion. She wasn't even a personal trainer, and she was paying for an internship with someone. Most people don't do that in the industry. We were like, right, this is, unbelievable. And the way she is, first and foremost, we pick people that are nice people. Like I say to you, that actually, if you can get someone to like you as a client, they'll listen to you. So we pick nice people first and foremost. And then, the passion to want to help people, want to learn, and want to be in the game and sort of dig it. Personal training isn't, you're not going to have a nice 9-to-5 job. It's one of those that is super rewarding, but you do have to graft and work crappy hours. And, once you establish yourself, you can work better hours. But, we're wanting people who are in it for the right reasons, and that is to truly help someone. And we've got an absolutely unbelievable team. I think over the last 12 weeks with the lockdown and everything, it's really highlighted, how much I appreciate the guys that work here, and that we really have picked the right people, because there's never been a point of arguing. Obviously, we've had financial stresses, like everyone has, and we've had to say to the guys, like, we kind of need to work on these systems and all that, and nothing's been questioned. It's been, yeah, we know, they know we've got their back and they've got our back, and it's you don't get that often in personal training from my experience. But if people can get themselves in that sort of team, it's a great position to be in. Yeah. So your other question was what we're doing in what we're doing sort of in lockdown.
Yeah. How's it been going for the members? And obviously.
Yeah, we've been training people on. We've had to adapt pretty quickly. We didn't really do any online training. We actually never really did any online training at all. I did a couple of clients, and but we've had to transition to save the business. We've had to transition everything over to online, and it's worked out brilliantly. Actually, it's going to be a different avenue for bringing in money within our business now. We're going to keep on. We do group training online. We do one-to-one Zoom sessions, which has been brilliant. I think everyone who sees us for what's been really nice to know is actually we've been able to really help people without all the nice equipment. We've kitted out the gym with some of the best equipment we've got there, but it's, again, we know that the people that we've got are right, and the systems that we've got in place are the right systems to have, which I think is fundamental, really. But yeah, we've done all online training. We've kept, I think it's like 90% of our clients have kept on, which has been, absolutely fantastic for us, and is the reason that we can open up. Obviously, when we come back, we don't know what the situation is going to be with like signing new people up, and we've had that conversation with the team. But we were talking before you press record on this about, actually, I think independent gyms potentially might thrive off the end of this, because we don't have to have the gym that busy to do well, and to keep going as we're going. We don't have a membership, so
you control that, don't you? You control when people come in anyway, so it's
which is brilliant. We can control that. Obviously, I'm there promoting. New trainers should go to a Pure Gym or a David Lloyd, and they're probably thinking, not now. No, it's I think we're in quite a lucky position. Don't get me wrong, it was bloody stressful, especially the first sort of 6 weeks or so. We were really worrying, like punching numbers together, and even then, even though we have this massive trust in the team, you still think, God, I think because we really like the team that we've got, we're thinking, God, if they did leave us, I'd be absolutely devastated, because I know how hard it can be to find someone that's in it for the right reasons.
So do you, just to pick up on what you said about the Zoom calls and the online stuff, and that's something you're going to incorporate moving forward, how will that look for you guys then? Is you going to have, is it just going to be slotting as in actual classes or sessions, or is it in around the stuff that you're going to be doing face to face?
So we've set up like a distance on group thing, which is via an app. So on there it has the program, and basically with that we do once a week, we do a live Zoom session, but the sessions they do themselves, which actually works really well because we don't have everyone's schedule, and the app notifies us when they've done a session and how hard they work. The app's actually called Train Heroic, if anyone's looking for anything.
I think I've seen a little advert for that. Yeah.
It's class, really, really good. If you have it's like a week's free, but depending on the amount of people you have on it, it charges you a little bit more, but it's not that expensive per client. It's a really good bit of kit. So we're using that at the moment. We've done all our own videos and stuff like that for it, so it's kept personalised. And then we're going to keep that going, because there's probably about 10 people on there that have never stepped foot in the gym before, who don't live in Manchester. So, even when we do open, they want to carry on. Then in terms of PT, we're doing one-on-one Zoom sessions with people. We actually allowed them to come in and take, we handed out kit before all the lockdowns, so the gym's pretty bare at the moment. But we're going to offer, when we open back up, we're going to offer, they can carry on doing Zoom sessions, because some people might work in Manchester but not live anywhere near. And if they're, working from home or furloughed or whatever, they might not be able to come in. But we're going to offer that like a hybrid package now. So say if someone's training was 3 times a week, they can still come in the gym once or twice and do 1 or 2 Zoom sessions to sort of be, a bit of a hybrid. And that might be something that we have to keep on long term potentially. You know, I was saying, like, I know my wife's actually, when they go back, it looks like long term they'll only ever be in the office twice a week. So that might happen for a lot of people. And then it will be full-time one-on-one PT. But we'll lay out the gym where it works perfectly for social distancing. Yeah, we're quite lucky where we won't have to spend a lot to social distance. I know, I can imagine like pure gyms and stuff will have to spend, you know, a fair bit of money to actually get things in place. But because the worry is you spend a lot of money and actually then they turn around in 4 weeks and say, oh, you don't need that now. And you're like, what do we do with all these products that we've bought?
Visors, big screens everywhere.
Yeah, so...
Are you able to get back into the facility soon? Because I know where you're located. Are the offices above you, are they all back in at the moment? Or
I mean, at the moment, there's a few people. I mean, I've been coming in for the past 3 weeks because we're doing some renovation work. Yeah, and it's getting a lot busier now. There are, you know, a fair few more people in. But yeah, hopefully town will get busier. Because that's, you know, we purposely based ourselves here so that there was more footfall. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that'll hinder us too much. There's plenty of people in Manchester, especially living here as well. Yeah, it seems like things are opening, offices are opening. You know, I think people are quite keen to get back to some normality now.
Yeah, definitely. I was in town. I think it was last week, and it was still like a bit of a ghost town. And then because the shops have opened, I saw like a video the other day, and it was just like near enough back to normal almost. So it's good, isn't it? That's what you want. You want people. I know it sounds a bit weird, but you do actually want people milling about, don't you? You know what I mean? You need a bit of energy.
Yeah, it is. Like I was, you know, the first week I came in the gym, you know, even we've got these massive windows in the gym, and I was worried that anyone would see me. You know, even sometimes I was training, I was painting the gym, and I was worried that someone would see me and think, "Oh God." But now that's sort of not, you know, I'm not bothered now. But obviously, you know, when we open, we've got to be very strict with the social distancing. Even there's going to be a lot of clients that are worried about it, and we have to have things in place for them. And I know there's going to be clients that will come in and be like, "Oh, I'm not bothered," but we still, you know, we can't ignore the fact that, you know, we don't know the science behind the risk and everything like that. So we've got to be very strict with. You know, we coach quite hands-on normally. You know, we've got to be very strict with stuff like that. And some clients, but I'm not bothered. You know, and we've got to be super, super careful. One, because we don't know the risk, and also we don't want other people seeing that we do that. And you know,
yeah, definitely. No, yeah, I think better safe than sorry. That's what, you know, whenever I speak to people, you just got to be safe, haven't you? And
the worst thing that can happen.
That extra mile. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we can't have another lockdown. We, you know, as a business, that's when we'd be very, very worried.
I think we all would, to be fair. It's absolutely been long enough, to be fair. I think everyone's climbing the walls. But Ben, I appreciate that. There's loads of info at the moment and where Forum is in terms of COVID and kind of how you've adapted things. Just want to speak a little bit more about, you did mention it earlier about you and Libby starting Forum and kind of how things have evolved in terms of your ethos has always stayed the same. What would be the biggest things that you've learned over those 3 years, going from that first idea to actually opening up? You know, what have you learned, and what sort of challenges did you face becoming a facility owner?
When I've always had this idea, even when I was in David Lloyd, I was like, I'd love to own my own gym one day. You know, in the back of my mind, it was going to be this all singing, all dancing sports performance centre. Because I was so into that at the time, you know, and I even looked at a few spaces and a few facilities back then. I mean, Libby's really, really good in terms of, like, she's had a lot of people surround her that are very business minded, and you know, she's certainly helped me with that side of things. And then, you know, we've grown together working on that side of it. I think if anyone is looking to open their own facility, is, you know, to understand that actually you get dragged away from what you love as a personal trainer. You know, you've got to love business, really. You know, it's a large part of it. Obviously, we're trying to create an environment for our coaches where you know, I'm like, oh, if I was a full-time coach, that's where I'd want to be. I think it's really before you do anything, and this is what we did, and actually what we've learned along the way. You know, even a year down the line of opening, someone would tell us something. Oh, have you got that in place? I'm like, oh, I don't even know what word they were on about. And I was like, oh, what, you know, they're talking about finance, and they're like, oh, do you know your year-on-year EBIT? And I'm like, no. And I'm trying to be in this meeting, pretend I know what I'm doing, but go home like, what did he say? Yeah, I think it's learning a lot more from business. 100% getting a mentor without a doubt. You know, we had a couple of mentors before opening. We have a mentor now who has nothing to do with gyms. We did a I think it was a 12-month, no, maybe a 6-month sort of internship with a guy called Mark Collins who owns M10. We did a business thing with him, which was brilliant. You know, I think that side of it, you really have to get nailed. And then it's like understanding your demographic, understanding your ethoses, which you're saying. And, you know, and then it's stuff like, I wouldn't, back when I was leaving David Law and thinking, oh, I'd love to open my own place one day, I'd never think that I would need to know all the data, you know, where your clients are coming from, where you're best spending on marketing, where, you know, that's the same thing. Like our business mentor was like, you know, he'd ask me questions and been like, you know, where are these clients coming from? I'm thinking, I haven't got any of this data. I literally don't know. You know, and you learn as you go along the way, but having someone there to help you out is massive. That can, you know, I'm sure you could probably ask me questions about form because you're not involved in it. You'd go, I've thought about that, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. Or have you got this in place? Because you end up getting so involved in it, you need someone to take you back and look at the bigger picture. But yeah, I think it's having that. I keep banging on about this, but having that ethos and that belief and sticking to that regardless of where you are. So whether you're day one of your personal training, if you know it will change a little bit, but if you know your true passions and what you want to achieve from what you actually want to do, then you follow that into, you know, even if we own 20 facilities, we know that ethos will never ever change. I think that's really key because it now makes it easier. We know what the systems we need in place. But yeah, I would say get a business mentor 100%, without a doubt, because they'll tell you stuff that you've not even thought of that's super helpful.
And on that, getting a business mentor, obviously some people might be a bit daunted by that. They might think, a business mentor, what's one of those? You know, I don't know where you and Libby got yours from, but where do you find these business mentors?
That's a good point, actually. We kind of just fell into this with one guy who was a friend of someone who came to the gym, and he ended up doing training here, and we got talking to him. He was a really nice guy, and actually we found out what he did. He's very successful in what he does, and we actually approached him and said, like, you know, I can't remember the name of it, which is annoying because obviously it'd be really good, but you'll be able to go online. Basically a lot of very successful business people offer out their time now. So we had a guy at first who was a director, I think, a filming director, who basically did a few hours, and we ended up meeting with him every month, and he would say, get this in place for business, and it really helped. It got to the point where we ended up, for some reason, I don't know, we kind of stopped with him, and we actually ended up stopping for having any business mentor for a few. We went and did this course with M10, and then after that we didn't actually have anyone, and we kind of thought that we wanted someone who wasn't involved in the industry because we thought it would really benefit us, and this is when we ended up getting in contact with this guy, and we approached him basically and said, look, we'll offer you our services essentially for free if you can offer us, you know, an hour of your time every 2 weeks. And he was absolutely more than happy with that. And you'll find that a lot of clients and people actually really, really want to help you out. It's really surprising. I mean, we train some people, you know, who you know, are CEOs of some ridiculous companies, and we say like, oh, can we have an hour of your time? They're like, yeah, absolutely. You know, I'll get you in my diary. And you think the hour of their time would cost a fortune, but because you've got that relationship with them, they really want to see you strive and succeed. they'll help you out for an hour. And those, yeah, it's very, very daunting. But once you can ask people questions, and I would say even from like someone who, again, is someone who's starting out, is actually have these conversations with people, because that's one of the things that I personally wasn't taught much about business when I started. It was all about exercise and everything else. And I know this guy who was banging on about you need to learn sales. That was a kind of a different thing. But I think actually having someone who can sit down and go, right, what systems need to get in place? Who's your target market? How can you potentially earn more money? What do you need to do? All these sort of things, and actually having a yearly projection of what you want to earn, what you need to do that. And it sounds really simple. I know there's so much information out there now, in terms of podcasts, books, film.
Too much, isn't there now? There's almost too much now. There's almost too much now. You don't know which way to go.
Yeah. But I think sort of you can't beat that face to face with someone and talking to them and getting, even an hour of their time, it's offer out a few personal trainings for an hour of this person, whoever it is, that person's time, because it is well worth it. I can't stress that enough, really. That's
a great insight. I think that's really powerful in terms of the mentors, and just finding that bit of advice from people who, even if it isn't in the same sector as you, they've been successful in a sector. Being successful is kind of, it doesn't really matter what sector it is, does it? They're kind of the same sort of foundation processes and values, etc. So I appreciate that, Ben. That was great. So what we always like to do is we always like to put, your experiences and your advice on those who want to become a PT. So for those who may be coming on courses on entering the industry as a personal trainer now, what would be your 3 biggest piece of advice for those wanting to enter the industry?
Who haven't started yet, I would probably say my 3 biggest piece of advice. I guess my number 1 is being it for the right reasons. You have to have that passion to want to help people. Don't go into it because you like the gym. Interest, that was what sparked my first thoughts. But actually, when I was helping this girl, rehab a knee, it was because I liked actually helping her. So being it for the right reasons, and that means you'll be in it long term. I've seen a lot of people come and go that are in it for the wrong reasons. Don't do it because you like the gym and you essentially once told your mate how to do bicep curls right, and you thought, I can make some money off this. Being it for the right reasons is 100% my first thing, and that'll help you be in it, for a long period of time in the personal training game. I think don't ever stop learning is probably my second one. Whether that is, from a business perspective, or even just general education. Obviously you guys are doing the initial courses, but you'll appreciate that actually there's only so much that you'll teach people, because you can overwhelm. If you go into it learning absolutely everything, it would take you years to do, and it would overwhelm you, and you'd overthink. You need to do a course, get some experience, do another course, get some experience. So I would say never stop learning. Yes, it's a drain on your finances. I've spent tens of thousands on courses, and I don't regret any of that. Again, if you're thinking of it long term, it's what you need to do. And as it's gone along, I probably do spend a little bit less than I used to when I first started. Maybe I shouldn't admit that, but it's paid back tenfold without a doubt. So I would say never stop learning, really. And then the third one is what I've been banging on about is have a business plan in place. Even from the get-go, is start thinking about what you want to achieve. It's like anything. If you're setting out someone with a training plan, you don't do day to day and just go, what we're going to do today, what we're going to do today. It doesn't have to be a long 5-year training plan or whatever, but you would set up a training plan based on what that person wants to achieve. So based on what you want to achieve, think about who you want to train, what you want to do. It makes that sale process a lot easier. If you truly know what you want to do and who you are and all that sort of stuff, as soon as someone comes to see you for a consultation, you don't even mention, it doesn't even feel like a sales process. You just tell them what you're passionate about, what you do, what you want to achieve with them, and it just becomes easy. So I think having, thinking sort of business minded in a sense of writing a few things down, having monthly goals or yearly goals or 5-year goals and what you want to be known for, I think will really help even from day one. And that will then follow you through to year 13, like it has with myself.
No, nice one, Ben. That was great.
Perfect. I think you've stalled on me now. Yeah, you completely stalled on me, mate. Can you still hear me?
You've glued up, but that's all right, mate. Don't worry. No, you're back in now. It's all right. I'll cut all this up. It's fine. I appreciate that, Ben. So nice one for that, mate. And I'll catch you soon.
Yeah, brilliant.